In this lesson we're going to look at drawing glasses, in particular when there are reflections in a person's glasses that might make it difficult to see their eyes, and just the way that we can bring the glasses forward from their face. So you can see that I've done the outline and I've highlighted these areas which are very pale reflections. I'm going to keep those in mind when I'm colouring all this section in. But I'm just going to start with these skin tones inside the glasses, and one thing you might notice is that the light reflecting from the glasses is giving the effect that the skin inside of that shape is paler than the surrounding skin. So the skin tones we're going to use is the same colours as I've used on the outside skin, but I'm just going to be always thinking of keeping them one tone paler than the surrounding area. And like I say, paying attention really to this shape of pale reflection as I work. You can see I've already started to put in the area outside of the glasses. I've not quite got it worked up as much as I will have as a finished piece, but I've left it like this just until I've got this internal glasses area done, and then I can compare the two and darken it down accordingly. What you're after creating is kind of a hazy appearance, but obviously with colour pencils you can't go in afterwards and put on the white over the top, so we're having to leave that as the white of the paper. I'm just noticing it comes right around that area there as well. Even though you can see the shape bounded, you don't want to be having any harsh lines at the edge of it. Sometimes with glasses, take for example this line, this crease line here that comes in. Sometimes with glasses the ground curvature of the glass will distort the direction that lines are taking. That can help also give you the effect you're after. It's not really doing it as much on this picture actually, they pretty much continue where they're going underneath. So we're treating it just the same as we did in the lesson about eyes. Obviously the same things apply, so we're going to be paying attention to the shadows that form the shape of the eye socket, and the creases in the edges of the eyes being the darkest place. It's exactly the same, but we're just keeping it all a whole tone paler than we would if the glasses weren't actually on top of it. As I'm approaching the frame, you can see the edge of the ground glass where it meets the frame is starting to make a darker area. And the same up here. And then looking as well at where it's darker behind the glasses there, will help bring the effect of bringing the glasses forwards. And then you can see that the dark there is behind the glasses. It's actually part of the skin tone, but the line that extends down here is not. It's actually the frame of the glasses, the rim, the bottom shadow of the rim of the glasses. It's just really about observing it really carefully on the photograph. It can get really confusing. If you've done I would suggest doing a really careful drawing in. trying not to confuse yourself with too many lines, but get as much essential information as you can, even if it means tipping your gridding up picture upside down so you can get everything exact. Just means it won't look as confusing when you get to filling it in. Keeping my pencil really sharp as well here, because these lines are tiny. Just looking really closely here, you can see, even though we know that the rim of the glasses is going to be a consistent thickness all the way around, on the photograph it's not. It comes almost tapering to a point, the pale part that I'm preserving there, and then up here it looks really wide. And you can see that my drawing's actually a bit wrong there. This is what I mean, you have to really look at what's on the photograph and not what your brain tricks you into thinking should be there sometimes. I'm just starting to see some other shapes appearing here, like I've got a very purple shape there. I'm gonna try and copy. And that's actually part of the reflection of the seascape that this gentleman was looking at. I'm keeping it very soft at the edges so I don't end up with a hard edge at the side of that reflected light. Another tip, just where the curvature of the ground glass meets the frame, is to just extend a little curve up, almost like a tick. And the same at the bottom, where these straight, almost straight lines meet the frame, just make a dark, almost like little triangles at the bottom of your lines. Helps give it a kind of curved look, and again it's all about distorting the lines that are behind it. I'm just going to put some of this grey colour in to help me define the reflection, keeping it very loose. Get rid of those lines. Trying to be hazy, a hazy effect. Not so much pressure through my hand. A bit of a curved hatching motion. Here you can see how it affects the underneath eye. So where that reflection line comes down, that right hand side is pale and this left hand side is almost what it would be if it were outside the glasses. I'm just going to give this a bit of its colour. By putting that yellow onto the frame, I can see that this now needs some adjustment behind it. Another tip here, where that line comes up, the same as we did there, adding the sort of extended curves and triangles at the end, where that line comes in, just to take the same colour sideways either side. So say I'm doing this edge of the eye, coming down here. When I meet the edge of the glasses, the rim of the glasses, I'm going to extend that sideways. This area of the frame is a little bit in shadow. And I'm just noticing here that the colour of the cheek is actually reflected in this bottom shadow. The shadow colour has changed because it's on the skin, touching the skin. I'm going to take a bit of that colour through there. And put a little bit more definition in these clouds. I'm starting to be aware that this tone here is getting to be the same as the outside, which means I need to sit back a little bit and adjust and either keep this paler than it is or darken this surrounding area to make it stand out, which is what I'm going to do. It's just about getting the balance between the two. Sometimes you just need to have a good sit back and squint your eyes and have a look, check on your progress of tonal values and how they relate. But I can see that that's one of my darkest darks, so I'm going to go right ahead in there and darken that down. And extend it through there, and that's going to be one of my reference markers, I would say, as to how dark I go. going to try and take in a little bit of eye colour now. Now you can't see the eye the same way we could in the eye lesson. It's all a bit blurry. And yet, for it to make a good portrait, you still need the eyes to be able to communicate. So in actual fact, I do tend to put a little bit more detail in. Even though I'm keeping it paler and more blurry, I'm trying to put in the detail I know is there. Sometimes I would be a bit creative here, I think. For example, you can't really see the pupil because the highlights of the eyes are obscuring it, but I would suggest it, even though I'm keeping it paler. Taking a bit of that eye colour into the surrounding areas, like we've done in all the other lessons, just to harmonise the colour balance. It never hurts to take your colours that you're working with into the shadows. If you've got areas of dark shadow, it's much better to build them from the colours that you're using elsewhere in the portrait than it is to switch to grey or black. You'll just find it brings everything together better. Just going to use a bit of sky blue, but very pale. All the time, as I'm making more depth of colour in here, I'm adjusting the outside colour as well, just to make sure this one always appears paler than this. And it's just keep a matter of carrying on that in that way. And if, like, I've drawn that line and I'm not quite happy because it looks a bit too heavy there, because I can see that that white band of reflection is there, you can just go in with your eraser and lighten it up. That can actually be quite a good effect as well. If you could, there's an alternative way you could do it, would be just to draw all the information you know is behind the reflection, but then add the reflection in with an eraser. I prefer not to rely on that too heavily though, because you never know when you're going to have a rogue line that won't oblige and happily disappear for you. This shadow here is a cast shadow from the glasses, so I'm just going to add that in. That again will help the glasses look as though they're actually perched on the cheek and stand out. Again, I think I've gone a little bit heavy in some of these areas. Go ahead and brighten it right back up. Another way you can make it look like glasses in the way of the skin is, as well as changing the tone to be paler, you can use colours that's not in the surrounding skin, so the colour of that pale area there is different from this one. It's less red, it's got a slightly green tinge to it, so I'm just adding a little bit of the eye colour green from before as just a single glaze layer over inside, just so it again helps to tell us it's an area of different texture from the rest of the face. But it's now making me look like I've lost a bit of reflection, so I'm just going to correct that again. Going to look at which areas of these frames now are in shadow and which have got a highlight. So the main highlight is actually up there. Another little tip you can do when you think it's getting somewhere light is, again, come in with your eraser, just soften any of the harsh lines, and you can also put in a couple of diagonal straight lines. More of an illustration technique that to suggest highlights on things, or you could even maybe just do a little curved white highlight, just invent one. It can sometimes look alright. If it's not, if it looks bad, you can always go back in and colour back over it and blend it into the colour that's behind it. Anything that helps to suggest the glass being in the way of the face will work. And like I said, if you're working with an eraser, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look right, you can always colour back in. Just going to bring this little area of shadow here just a little touch darker, and I think it's getting somewhere to be in the effect I wanted. So of course you can see I'm starting to come into this surrounding area of dark shadow, and that for me would be the next area I'll go. I would leave that there now and then concentrate on everything around it, which would then tell me whether I needed to do any more work on there, lightening or darkening. Until I've got all these values set, I won't be able to properly judge that. So I hope you can see how you would start to build up the glazed appearance of that section. Like I said, you need to then concentrate on the surrounding areas, correcting all the tonal values within it. One thing I'm just going to talk about is what would happen if your photograph didn't have any reflections on the glasses. Sometimes you can get a clear photograph like that where the eyes are visible and it looks, the tone of the skin behind it looks exactly the same. If I was working on a commission from a picture like that, I actually would on purpose make the skin tones behind the eyes seem a little paler or slightly different colour, just to suggest the glass there even if it wasn't there on the picture. But obviously you would be able to keep more definition on the eyes because it's there in the photograph. But I would just very subtly make it slightly different from the surrounding skin, just so that it doesn't just look like a drawn on frame stuck on top of the eyes. So I hope that that lesson has been helpful in helping you learn to draw glasses.